Yeah, we left it on a aruchi note last time. Aruchi means not a good note. Correct? Yeah, so we'll fix that today. Namaste to all of you. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shriniyaam Devaah Bhadram Pashyem Makshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistastavagam Sastanobhih Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Manohidvividham proktam
Manohidvividham proktam
Shuddham cha shuddhameva cha
Shuddham cha shuddhameva cha
Ashuddham kama sankalpam
Ashuddham kama sankalpam
Shuddham kama vivarjitam.
Shuddham kama vivarjitam.
Yeah, no need to pronounce the mers, Shuddham and Ashuddham, because it is followed by certain consonants and it takes on the nasal of that consonant. Like this. Manohidvividham proktam
Manohidvividham proktam
Shuddham cha shuddhameva cha
Shuddham cha shuddhameva cha
Ashuddham kama sankalpam
Ashuddham kama sankalpam
Shuddham kama vivarjitam.
Shuddham kama vivarjitam.
Do you see how it sounds? Sanskrit is an economic language, packed. And when you chant like this, then you can be called Pandits. Yeah. Then we have, we'll chant the next one also. Mana eva manushyanam
Mana eva manushyanam
Karanam bandha mokshayoho
Karanam bandha mokshayoh
Bandhaya vishayasaktam
Bandhaya vishayasaktam
Muktan nirvishayam smritam.
Muktan nirvishayam smritam.
Yeah. So, very troublesome first two verses. Troublesome in the sense, how are we going to accomplish this? You know, two categories of the mind were talked about, Shuddha and Ashuddha. Simple. Shuddha means pure, Ashuddha means impure. And upon further enquiry, what does it yield? What is Shuddha? Shuddha means that which is free of longing. Shuddha. And by the same token, what is Ashuddha? That which is full of fancies. Here Sankalpa is not the same Sankalpa that you do before Puja and Yajna. You know, although it is similar. That is an intention. Here sankalpa means fancy. Even Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan uses the word sankalpa. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman. He uses that in the sense of fancies that take a foothold and then make you dance. That is what is called sankalpa. So kama sankalpam means full of desirable fancies. Correct? So fancies here means longings which are still in the state of being cooked. Yeah. So it is going through a cooking process. It is simmering, it is boiling, sometimes it is raging, it's in a raging boil, it is simmering, it is cooking, and then it's, spices are being added, and then it is simmering some more, and then all the masalas together, then it is ready, then it is called, then it becomes a kama as opposed to kama sankalpa. So the kama, here you can even say kama sankalpa, kama eva sankalpa. Like that you can also, decode that compound, in the sense that the desire itself, which is in the form of a mental longing, a longing that one has not done anything yet about, except actively in the mind one is juggling all those desires like an expert magician. Correct? And so this is the two kinds of mind we have seen, and then that itself is enough reason to say never mind. But then the next mantra comes and says that for all human beings, and mind you, it is not for the dog and the cat. We have seen this very clearly. What will the dog want? It may bury one bone for tomorrow, okay, and then of course promptly it forgets also where it has buried it. That's why it digs up the whole garden, because it has forgotten. But never will you find a dog that says for the 7 generations of the people that are coming afterwards, my puppies, my puppies, puppies, my puppies, 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 puppies. Is that 7? Let's make it 7. Yeah. So for all of them I should have a storehouse of bones. Yeah, stocks and bones. No such thing. No inheritance, no fear, no security, no kind of trying to shore up the security, because there is no insecurity centered on the self. So therefore the Upanishad uses a very big word, manushyanam. This is only for the human beings. Not for because there is no bandha for the dog and the cat. There is no bandha. Therefore there is no need for moksha. In fact, they are called muktaha. They are already free. Free of what? Free of this kama sankalpa. Free of the relentless tyranny of all kinds of longings that are frozen in the mind. Frozen needs and frozen longings. All these things are missing because for 2 reasons. One is, they are not completely self-conscious. They have some level of understanding. They understand their own species, and then they understand species not, which are unlike them. This is for the sake of propagation of the species and for the sake of protection from predators. If a big dog like a Alsatian, what do they call them in this country? Alsatian, husky, yeah. Huge, almost they look like wolves. And if that kind of a dog met one, little yapper in the pocket, what is that one called? Pocket dog. Chihuahua. Yes. If that one met the pocket dog, it's not, that husky is not going to confuse this one for a cat. It knows it's a dog. It will bark. And this one, from the safety of the wallet, will also bark. Quickly it will go in. That's what it will do. So therefore, they recognize each other. They know each other, they recognize it as the same species, and then the second thing is very rudimentary. That's the first reason. They are not aware completely of themselves, including all their failings or what they think the failings are. And then the second reason they don't have complexes centered on them is because they live a life that is programmed by Bhagavan. They do not go against the programming of Bhagavan. They don't go against the laws. Yeah, they don't go against the laws. And a dog that is a sheep dog, and what does it do? What has its ancestors done? Corralled the sheep. It doesn't say, I am burnt out, I have job satisfaction, and besides, these days nobody is leading an agrarian life. I'm going to open a disco and I'm going to be a disco dog. I'm going to start some poetry, rap. I'm going to rap. It doesn't say that. Why? Because it is in the programming. Same thing with Sthavara also. The orange tree doesn't get upset. I'm just producing oranges. I'm sick of vitamin C. I think I should go in for mangoes. Or I'm sick of being in the woods. I'm going to move to the seashore along with my family. The banana tree is going. No, it doesn't happen because they live within the laws of Bhagavan. But what do? We have so much freedom that freedom enough to flout the laws, because there is free will that is unbound, and then there is, because of this free will, there is, and because there is no programming, and that free will is complete, there is a problem centered on the nature of this I, problem centered on the self. And of course, whenever I do a self-assessment, I always fail. I get failing marks. I never get an A in my own assessment. Forget A plus and honors. No, I never graduate with honors in my own self-assessment. I always fall short. Failing grade. And then that failure, that notion of failure, because whether this failure is real or not is what is being contested in verse number 2. That notion of failure is powerfully projected outside in two ways. One is my own notion of self non-acceptance and failure. I want to overcome by becoming an approval hunter. Yeah. I become a beggar, really. And then, with a big chip on the shoulders, so wherever one goes, do you like me? Yes. What do you mean by yes? Just yes? What do you like about me? And then the person has to make up a few things. And then only that? What about all this? So it is never enough. There is no alam buddhi. What is alam buddhi? A buddhi that says enough. Because that disapproval is unleashed, unleashed infinitely. Instead of seeking the infinite, it is unleashing infinitely. Because of this, because of the problem of self-ignorance. That is why this is there. So that is the first way, is that I project the need for approval. See, the problem is I am disapproving of myself. Therefore what? I want everyone to approve of me. What is the logic? It's never going to be a solution, because I will still be disapproving of myself. But still that is not understood. That's the first way the Manushya, the human being, reacts or interacts with the world. And what is the second way? The second way is powerfully project the self-disapproval on to everyone else. And that also takes two forms. One is, I find fault in everybody and everything. You spot it, you got it, that is the problem. And the second thing is that, I project the disapproval onto the world in the sense that I keep thinking people are displeased with me, because I am displeased with myself. So you see the subtle ways? I am displeased with myself, so the projection is everybody is displeased with me. Whoever I meet is displeased with me. And so this is what is called notion of bondage. And that notion, if it is not interrogated, very quickly becomes an ocean of bondage here. So therefore, and where does it originate? It originates in the same place where thoughts proliferate. And when you look into the mind, like we did last time, there is no mind. What mind? There is no mind. Oh, so there is no mind? No mind. And so there is no bondage? No bondage. So there is no liberation? No liberation. Then why are we studying this? As though. Because I feel there is bondage. I have a problem centered on the I, and therefore I need some kind of a solution. It's like when Lord Rama was a baby, he saw the moon for the first time. 1-year-old baby looked at the moon, fantastic. And he wanted the moon to play with. Immediately he started to cry. He pointed to the moon and started to cry, and he threw his first tantrum and had the whole palace, up, because they didn't know what to do. It was a full moon night, and this baby Lord Rama, baby Rama, there are hardly any stories about baby Rama. Baby Krishna, yes. But we can't imagine Rama being naughty and all. He's such an upholder of dharma. This is one of the few stories. Baby Rama cried and cried and cried. Face became red. The baby was holding its breath and crying. Nobody knew what to do. And all the residents of Ayodhya, they all gathered. They said, oh my God, what has happened to this prince? And then finally somebody had an idea. They got a big cauldron of water and put it in the courtyard. And the moon was reflected, so the moon was not far away, and the baby just played and had a wonderful time. So that is a very nice story. So that kind of upaya needs to be done here. Also, even the truth is there is no bondage, but still you have to pretend that there is a bondage, because that the effects of those chains are felt. The effects of those chains I am feeling, so therefore some kind of an upaya is needed. Did the moon really come down? No, it as though came down. So are there really chains? No. But here, with the help of this Upanishad, they as though come down. One is de-shackling as one is studying this. So therefore, karanam manaha eva karanam bandha mokshayoho. Bandha and moksha, both. For that, for bandha and moksha, the mind alone is the reason. So the freedom is experienced where? It's not experienced in the body. Body doesn't care. It's in the thinking faculty where the freedom is experienced, and where the notion of freedom and the notion of bondage are experienced in that same place. That is what is called the mind here. That faculty which is aware of itself and which is aware of everything else. So that is where the whole thing is. And in the Bhagavad Gita also we have a verse that talks about this in the 6th chapter. Uddhared atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuhu atmanaha. One is one's own friend, best friend. One is one's own best enemy also. Yeah. Depending on, on how you use this facility. So the mind is supposed to be used. Somebody said a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Vedanta says a mind is a terrible thing when it is wasted. Yeah. Wasted means gone to seed. Because it is a karana, it is a tool. But if you become the tool for the mind, then it is upside down, correct? You cannot become the pawn and the tool for the mind. Because if that happens, then there is misery and bondage. Notion of bondage. But if the mind is a tool, then it becomes a tool for freedom. How? Right now, the mind is being used as a tool for freedom because one is listening to the Shastra. One is listening to that, and so this is what is happening. So then we have to discuss, this Vishaya and Nirvishaya. Vishaya Sakti, Asakti from Sanj, to adhere, to cling, to, not let go, like Velcro, correct? So the mind is like a magnet. It repels a few things, but most of the things, like they are like the filings, iron filings. It attracts and holds. This is what the whole thing is. And we cannot be, as we saw last time, Nirvishayam Smritam. I'm taking number 1 and number 2 together, kind of. So Nirvishayam Smritam Muktam, the free mind, because this mukti and bondage are there in both, so we are seeing them together. So this Muktam Manaha Nirvishayam Smritam. Nirvishaya means without objects. Nirgataha Vishayaha Yasmat, from which all objects have departed. And that is only possible when Nirvikalpa Samadhi, with or without snoring. Okay? So, that's all. Either in sleep, meaning Nirvikalpa Samadhi plus snoring, and otherwise in Samadhi, where the subject-object things are, go into a state of laya, absorption. Those are the only 2 times where it is literally speaking Nirvishayam Smritam. The rest of the time it is what? Full of Vishaya. In fact, Vishaya after Vishaya after Vishaya after Vishaya after Vishaya. So then it seems like an impossible directive. How do you make this Nirvishaya? It is not Nirgataha Vishayaha Yasmat. And Nirgata Asaktihi Yasmat. That is what. You're not trying to remove the Vishaya, because it says Vishaya Saktam. Vishaya and Asakti are there together. The Asakti for the Vishaya is removed. The magnetic charge is removed. And then everything just drops off. So that has to be understood here. It's not that one is trying to remove the Vishaya, one is trying to, interrogate the Asakti, and what is that? That wire between the Vishaya and the Asakti is cut. That link, that chain between the object and that clinginess, that potential clinging to that object. And mind you, here the object is can also be a notion, belief, ideology, so many things. So all this, what do you do to all that? All that link between the Vishaya, the object, and how I feel about it, and the feeling that I cannot do without it, or I have to have it in this way, or this is what I believe, that is what is cut. It's not that one is trying to do, one is trying to not have thoughts, because then what will happen? You're stuck with one thought. What is that thought? I should not have thoughts. Then you get rid of that thought, and then you say, I should not have the thought that I should not have thoughts. See where we are going here? Infinite regression. Going in a nice circle. Infinitely. Better to seek the infinite, And so, therefore, the whole thing is very, very important to see it for what it is. And here, Muktam Nirvishayam Smritam. So not nirgataha vishayaha yasmat, but nirgata asaktihi yasmat. A mind that is freed of longing is a mind that is freed of vishayas automatically, because the longing attaches to the vishayas. But how to free it from longing, it is something, it's a process. It's a process. You free it by freeing it, that's all. By reducing the dependency on things, people, situation, events, beliefs, notions, all of them. And half of it is through the study itself, and the other half excuse me, the other half is through the practice of meditation, etc., letting go, through the cultivation of what is called vairagya. Vairagya is there, and that vairagya means letting go of the thought even as it forms in the mind. The thought comes and the mind is just, the mind just observes the thought. And that is how the progress is made, because there is a connection between vairagya and letting go of this asakti, the longing. Okay, more about that, it will come. And this is something that has this whole connection has something that even the sages have had to learn about. There is one story in the Mahabharata where one sage who was having a small ashram had a thought. And what was the sankalpa? So much land is there, I can just grow my own food. Why do I have to go somewhere for bhiksha or wait for bhiksha to come to me? I can just grow my food. What do I need? Water is here. Seeds I can get. Just a couple of bullocks. If I had the bullocks, then I would just grow the food. And the next time, we have weekly markets. Like in Eugene, there is one on Saturdays. So he went to the Saturday market. And what did he do? Bought himself a pair of bullocks. And he was, growing his food. And then one day what happened? The tiger or something, some wild animal came to town from the woods, which they do regularly, because sometimes they don't find lunch. They also go out for lunch. They visit cities for lunch. And so the bullocks got frightened, because they were the lunch. They would have been the lunch. The bullocks got frightened and escaped in the middle of the night. And the sage got frightened because see, so many things that are frightened. The tiger or whatever, that wild animal, got frightened because where will its lunch come from? Bullocks got frightened because their life was at stake. Sage got frightened because his lunch was at stake, because what will he grow if the bullocks are gone? And he ran after the bullocks. The bullocks just took off because they were afraid. Even though the scare was gone, that wild animal, had gone away, and everybody said it has gone, but still the bullocks would not return. They just took off and in hot pursuit is the sage, running. And then at some grace stops him. And then he says, and he stops and says, what am I doing? I'm running after a pair of bullocks. I'm running after a pair of bullocks when I should be running in search of the self. And instead of that, I'm running after these bullocks. And so what he said something very nice. He said, "O Kama, O desire, I know where you come from. You come from an innocent sankalpa. Oh sankalpa, I'm not going to go after you. Why? Because if I go after you, you will come after me. Yeah. Very beautifully he said that. So like this, and then you have of course that famous story, what was that? That Menaka and Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra meditating him out of existence, and then some nice chan sounds are coming, and he opens one eye first to see what it is. Then, oh, one eye is not enough, both eyes. Beautiful damsel, not going away. Marry me. Okay, no problem. And even he says that, I had a desire, my goal was to be a Maharshi, but, I have been arrested by this Kama, and the Prarabdha here is too strong. Bye bye Maharshi Padam, hello marriage, and I'll come back later. He says that, I'll come back later. So like that, so many stories are there. And and one more story I'm remembering, where I forgot who the characters are, because Mahabharata is like that. It is just a story within a story within a story, and then But again, there is a sage in the forest who gets attached to a baby deer that strays into the ashram. And baby fawn is so cute, you're fawning all over it. And oh, so cute. Oh, today you have a cold, here's a hanky. Would you like some, hot honey and ginger tea? What would you like? And the baby is a baby, of course, and baby also got attached to him. And the baby was outside, then it may be cold, it may be raining, come on in. So it came inside, and then it was sleeping on his bed, and then very soon he couldn't live without it. And at some point he understood that this was something going beyond. So like this, the Kama, the Sankalpa, it's just a tiny fancy. One never thinks that this will get the better of me. It seems innocent, and it seems so devoid of any charge. In other words, it's free, devoid of any charge. And then you think, I'll just play with it, and then I leave it and go. As soon as you start playing, it plays with you. This is what the whole thing is. And this is where the interruption has to happen in two ways. One is, I'm very careful what I go after, because it is going to use me, and it is going to, take away my freedom. This is what it is. Because how is it going to take away my freedom? Because I am going to become increasingly dependent on it. And when it is not there, all kinds of negative emotions come up, And you see this in children. If they cannot have something right now, they have a tantrum because there are no filters in the brain. Same thing with the elderly, Sometimes elderly people and having some, diminished capacity, cognitive impairment, if they don't get something, it's a huge deal. But I'm talking of something eatable, something whatever it is, child and some elderly person, sick, or something like that. But in the regular person, if that is not there, one has the flexibility to find something else. So similarly here, that dependency is something that is avoided, and he's going to say, the Upanishad is going to say this in verse number 3, in verse number 3 it's going to say that one has to cultivate the mind to be independent of these sankalpas. The sankalpas are there, the mind just watches the sankalpas come and go. like the leaves dropping on a moving stream. If the stream is moving and the leaves are dropping, you don't think of the destiny of each leaf. It's just gone. It's out of mind, out of sight. It is gone. It is here, it is gone. It is here, it is gone. Everything is fresh. Oh, but it would be so nice to have that right now. Okay, that's an interesting thought. Nice to have it. Okay, it's not here now. Next. Oh, but that would be wonderful. Yes, but it's not here now. Next. No, but if that's not there, what about this? This one, has too many calories. Okay, next. So these are the statements of Vairagya. And what is Vairagya other than just a fact? It's an objective fact. No, if I can't have that, what about this? This is not good for your health. Fact. Oh, but just once. No. Fact. Even once it's not good for health. Then next. Oh, but it would be so nice if that was there. Okay, that also is not there. It's a fact. So everything, once one has that Vairagya, as one is cultivating that Vairagya, everything becomes a fact. And a very beautiful story Pujya Swamiji used to tell about this man who had a very objective mind, and he was some kind of a businessman in the shipping industry. And then what was the story? He got the news that all the ships that he had sent with all the things, they caught fire. And what did he say? Oh no, what? And then after a while he said, so what? Meaning, what can be done? Oh, your wife and children were also in the ship. What? So what? And so the what is a shock, denial, non-acceptance. How could this happen to me? And then the so what is, if it had to happen to somebody, why not now? Why not here? And why not to me? It's an acceptance of a fact. So here, nirvishaya means free of subjectivity. If we look at it from this train, that is the best definition of the word nirvishaya. Because removing the longing means removing subjectivity, because the longing hangs around the mind like a fog, not allowing the sun of objectivity to bless the mind. So the subjectivity, the removal of subjectivity. And how do you remove subjectivity? By looking at what is. Very simple. The filters of that subjectivity, my personal agenda, the longings are splattered all over the jagat. And the longings are, dangerous to have that asakti for the longing. We are not talking of desires here. We are talking of longing. Desires means, that which is a blessing from Bhagavan. Kamosmi Bharatarshabha. Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dharma aviruddha kamosmi. I am that desire that is unopposed to dharma. Meaning that which is not trying to cross somebody, hurt somebody's chances, or hurt even myself. That which is unopposed to righteousness, that is a desire that is Bhagavan alone. So we are not talking of desire, even though the word for that is kama. We are talking of asakti or longing, which is desire, which is called binding. Binding. That which binds you into this bandhana, into this bandha. That is what is the being talked about. What is the difference between the binding desire and the non-binding desire? Very simple. The binding desire binds, the non-binding desire does not bind. Simple. Meaning, if it is like that, whatever, something you're searching for, it's not there. And a healthy person, mentally healthy person will say, okay, I'll have something else today. I don't have to have that. I want rice for lunch. Well, rice is unavailable, it is not here today. All right, I'll have chapatis, or I'll have dosa, I'll have idlis, or I won't have anything, it's okay. A mentally or emotionally stable and mentally healthy person, can easily say, all right, if that is not there, something else will be there. But suppose one is not mentally healthy, then what is the response? I have to have that now. So there is rage, there is fear, there is, a reactivity, there is a reaction. And a binding desire is that which binds one into thinking that I can't do without it, that creates a dependency. A non-binding desire is that which is there, fulfilled, all right. Not able to fulfill it, even better, no problem, one less hassle. And so, how to make the mind nirasaktam, nirvishayam, without asakti, is to convert the binding desires into non-binding desires, ek ke baad ek, one by one. One by one, I convert the binding desires into non-binding desires. So that the whole thing, I expand, to such an extent, I become bigger than the binding desire, to so much so that everything is like rice. It is not there, no problem. It is there, well and good. So that is where the freedom is experienced. When there is a lot of ragadveshas, we can use that word now. Ragadveshas are binding desires that have taken a foothold in the mind, in the form of fancies, in the form of beliefs, in the form of I have to have, in the form of dependencies. And when all those ragadveshas clamor for expression, that person is not a free person. And sometimes, I have met, I'm sure all of you also have met people like that. And one time, this person was sitting next to me on the plane. Are you wearing perfume? She asked me. I said, no, I don't wear perfume. Oh, good, because I'm allergic. And then somebody was talking behind, in the seat in the back. We were just having a normal conversation. Just, where are you from? What are you doing? Etc. Oh, you are also having the same phone as me. How do you like this phone? Something like that. Turned around. You please keep quiet. This is a plane. This is not your house. She told them. And they were very taken aback. They didn't know what to say. Being decent people, they immediately kept quiet. They didn't know, they didn't this thing. And then there was a child in the front seat. And she tapped the mother on the shoulder. Mother and child were sitting. She tapped the mother on the shoulder and he said, is he going to scream the whole time? Because then I need to be reseated. Is he going to be screaming? And I looked at the mother's face. The mother looked like she was going to be screaming. And because she didn't like that at all. But she also said, no, he's a very good boy, 4-year-old, 4-year-old, maybe even 2, I don't know, 2 to 3 years old. And so having addressed back and front, then she went on this side of the aisle, little further away, little bit more this thing. She surveyed the people on the seat just directly adjacent and all that. And then, she pressed the button for the flight attendant to come. The flight hasn't even taken off. We have just got in the plane. She pressed the button and she said, this is a reseating issue. She wanted to, so the flight attendant thought that she needs to be reseated, and then she's explained, this is a small plane and that weight and balance is very important. So wait till everybody sits down, and then if there is a free seat, or whatever, then we will come to know, and you are free to move, no problem. And she says, it's not me. I have no problem with the seat. I want you to reseat that gentleman over there. And what's the problem? He is eating something. He was eating something that she was allergic to, or she thought she was allergic to. From so far away. I mean, it's, of course, nothing is that far, but it is, everything is aparoksha. And anyhow, so this is, she was a miserable person. She was a very sad person. Miserable, swayam miserable, anyan miserayati, continues to cause misery to others. Herself completely miserable because nothing was okay. Nothing was okay. And then that, some drinks and some snacks came. That also, does it have this? And, the flight attendant said, I didn't prepare this. So I have no idea what it has. Read the instructions, lady. And she says, I can't read in a moving plane. I get sick. I can't read when the plane is moving. I'll get sick, air sick. And I quickly took it from her. I said, I'll read, because I didn't want her to get air sick next to me. And unfortunately, it was a long flight. And as the flight grew longer and longer, everybody grew weary of her, and she got more and more miserable because there were more and more things she did not like. She did not like the snacks, she did not like, and then I read that packet and she gave that packet back and wanted some other choice, and they gave that, and then, some alternative. And then, yes, I don't want ice. So, okay, they gave her some juice without the ice. And she says, no, I want the ice on the side in a different, in a different glass. And then, gave the ice on the side. And then she said, you have poured this in the glass. Where is the can that came with this? The can also I want. And it was just like that the whole time. And she was a very sad individual. Why? Because too many, there's a baggage, excess baggage, and the airline cannot even charge for this baggage because it's an invisible baggage, but it's an excess baggage that fits neither in the seat in front nor on the overhead. It is inside, it's the inner head, not overhead, it's in the head. This excess baggage of binding desires, which has made the person into a slave, really. That is what the whole thing is. So this is what is called bandhaha, where the mind is strangulated, choked with, binding desires. So therefore, such a mind that is held hostage by the binding desires is called bandhaha, baddhaha. And then the mind that is freed of such longings is called muktaha. Such a person is called either baddha or mukta, the one having this kind of a mind. And so therefore, muktam nirvishayam smritam. So this is a very beautiful step-by-step understanding. First, step number one, acknowledge that there are longings. Because the refusal to acknowledge is itself a problem. So if one is not able to see the problem, how can you have a resolution or even a solution? So acknowledge there is a problem, identify the binding desires, just watch them. Oh, you can't do without this either? Oh, that's interesting. How about that? Oh, no, I'm not good without that either. All right, so what about this? Nope, no. Okay, so 3 things without which you cannot do. No, actually there are 30. Okay, list all of them. Make a list. Even a mental list, but actually it's very helpful to write it down. All the things that you cannot do without absolutely. And and then jot down a few things just for contrast of the things that you can do without. And then look at that contrast and slowly start converting the things on the left hand side to the things on the right hand side. Slowly start converting the binding into non-binding desires, because that is like these kinds of desires, the binding desires are like a barbed wire on the buddhi. They have a what is called a strangle hold. And so this is what it's so kama vivarjitam. What kind of kama? The binding desires are basically taken care of, and immediately the person is happy. Yeah, Jada Bharata, correct. That's right. Yeah, that the one who got attached to a deer. So this is what immediately the person is free. The mind is free. So the person with such a mind is free, because one is free enough to be present, free enough to desire, free enough to not go after the desire, free enough to go after the desire, free enough to not be disappointed when the desire is not when the object of desire is elusive, unavailable, or starts to belong to somebody else. So that is how one manages the desire. It's not about control. You don't control the mind, you manage it. You don't control the desires, you manage them. And if you don't manage them, what happens? Exactly, simple. See, everybody knows this. Yeah. Yato nirvishayasyasya manaso muktirishyate ato nirvishayam nityam manah karyam mumukshuna yato nirvishayasyasya manaso muktirishyate ato nirvishayam nityam manah karyam mumukshuna. Yeah, talking about the mind again is a special advice for the people who are studying Vedanta, namely for everybody here. Yeah, specially targeted advice. Yataha, yasmat karanat, because since what, nirvishayasya asya manasaha muktihi ishyate. Ishyate doesn't here means it is connected to or dependent on. So what is ishyate? Muktihi ishyate. Since the freedom of the mind, or since the liberation of the mind is dependent upon being free of longings, and we have seen in detail what it is to be free of longings. Since the liberation is dependent upon what? Viragaha, free of longing. Therefore, ataha, nirvishayam nityam manaha karyam to be done. Yat, kru plus yat, karyam to be done. What is to be done? Nirvishayam, homework. Homework ishyate. Homework is desired. Homework is to be done. What is the homework? The homework is keep the mind, dusted. All the cobwebs of the ragadveshas are taken care of. By whom? Mumukshuna. Mumukshu. That is you. Yeah. So, this is a special advice for the student of Vedanta. Mumukshu here, Jignasu, same thing. So, Mumukshu, Jignasu, the desirer of freedom, who is going to be the desirer of knowledge, if already not been that. So, this Mumukshu, whosoever it may be, to whom it may concern, to this Mumukshu the advice is given. And what is this Mumukshu to do? This Mumukshu is the one who has Tivra Ichha, a burning desire for liberation. Correct? That is the Mumukshu. And in the Mundaka Upanishad, how is that described? The one whose head is on fire. Not just the hair, the head is on fire. And when the head is on fire, you don't stop to watch a movie and then go to the tap to, cool off, wash off. You don't say, let me go to Starbucks on the way and I'll have a double latte, and then after that, later I will just stand under a faucet and, extinguish the fire that is, raging on the head. You don't even stop to talk to a friend. Oh, I have not seen them in a long time. Let me give them a hug and say hello. They don't want a hug, and also you don't want any other activity except to run to the faucet and cool off. Correct? There's no time. There's no place to. There's the burning desire is so much. You are tormented by that desire. You can neither look to the left nor look to the right nor see if there is any bakery on the way. I think after I wash off, I'll need a nice, croissant or something. No such thing. You just rush to the source of water and sit under it. Correct? That is what is the definition of a mumukshu as given by the Mundaka Upanishad. That is why that Shirovratam, Yena Kritam, there was a vrata. Vrata means the intense brahmachari, the most intense of brahmacharis would take up this vrata. They would take live coals on their newly shorn heads. Yeah. You can't just have a, pile of dreadlocks and then carry the live coals. No problem. No. Newly shorn head, and you carry live coals in a thin, whatever, tin or metal thing. And then you run around the ashram 3 times, and then you put it at the feet of the Guru and then beg for the knowledge. In fact, you don't put it at the feet until the Guru says, all right, keep it down. This is what the whole thing is. That desire for freedom. And interestingly, even in a number of Buddhist ordinations, they burn the head at the time of the ordination. They shave and then they burn it in 3 or 4 places. It's to show that desire for that freedom, desire for nirvana. That's what it is. It's all come from this only, I think. And so, so that is, in other words, the Upanishad recognizes only that mumukshu, really. That is the ideal type mumukshu. This is, kadachit, coming and going, kabhi kabhi mumukshu, most of the time bhubukshu. This is, who is a bhubukshu? Bhoktum ichha, bhubuksha. Yeah, so not to be confused with mumuksha or bubhutsa, that is bodhum ichha, that is different. Here it is a desire for conspicuous consumption most of the time, and then once in a while you wonder, oh, kathamaham shanti meshyami, when will I be free? Oh, how nice, how nice this 1 month course is going on. How nice all the people are studying. Not me, but how nice. What a lovely concept that everybody is studying. what do? Once in a while I find out how many people are logged on and I quickly log out. In either of the two rooms. I just come to see how many people are there and I appreciate all of them. Oh, good job. All of you are studying so well. This is so fantastic. Keep at it. Wonderful. That is not the kind of mumukshu that the Upanishad is going to waste her time teaching. Yeah. Mumukshu means, a mumukshu who is a sincere seeker. So the sincere seeker is the one who has, who has almost done this Shirovratam, and the Shirovratam symbolizes the jignasa in the sense that it is an unstoppable longing. That unstoppable longing is what is talked about here. And that unstoppable longing will not have any room to brook other longings. This is what has to be understood. The Atma is a very jealous creature. If you are interested in other things, it says, okay, keep going. I'm not opposed to everything. Anything at all I'm not opposed to. Keep going. But if you choose me, you have to choose me alone. But that's not right. But why? Because Atma is everything. It's the source of everything. And so, therefore, we have to have the correct priority of what to choose, and there is not a lot of room for a lot of other things. So choosing the choice of moksha is not some kind of a buffet. Little bit of moksha, little bit of, this, little bit of that, little bit of everything. You don't have some kind of a plate filled with everything and the side dish is moksha. That is not what it is. What is dished out is more sorrow. That's all. Here, that commitment is talked about in a very, very poignant way, and we'll see the depth of that. We don't have too long to wait in 12 hours. That is tomorrow morning. Okay? Yeah, so we'll say the closing prayer and don't go away because we will meditate for a short time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.